So there was a period of time in my life where I didn't live in London, and I've been trying to think of stories from that time to tell you guys, and they've all been either a bit naff or they've been too short to justify a whole video, but I thought of something, so I'm going to tell you about it. From the ages of about 4 to 9, I lived in Surrey, like in the countryside. So down the road from my house was this like pub, and next to the pub was a forest. We called it a forest. It was just sort of a little tiny patch of trees. Like you could take about 50 steps in and you'd be out again, but we still called it the forest because we were little and we were very excited about it. And in the forest, we had a den. I remember it really well, but I don't know how accurately I remember it, if you see what I mean. Like I can picture it really well, but I don't know if the picture that I have is accurate. It was essentially just a big ditch in the forest with like trees around it. To get into the den, there was a rope swing that was attached to a really weak branch, and on the other side there was a little ladder that we found somewhere else in the forest to help you get up onto the other side. I don't really remember most of the people that were in our little like gang that would hang out in the forest, but I remember that there was like an older boy and several other older children, but there was one boy that was like the oldest and he was like in charge. We had different like places in the trees and different jobs to do depending on like how old we were and how high up on the hierarchy we were. Like the oldest boy sat at the top of the tree and did nothing, and me and my sister, who were like 6 or 7 at the time, were on the floor. Sometimes we tried to relocate. We'd like look around for other places that we could sort of set up camp, and this one time we found somewhere that we thought was really great. It essentially looked like a grave with a ladder in it. That's where we found the ladder. And we were all sitting in there one time and we noticed that there were loads of little holes in the walls of this grave. And then we saw wasps coming out of them. So we went back to the original den. So on one side of the forest there's this pub, right? And then there's the little forest, and on the other side of that there's a golf course. And in our den there was a little opening on the other side next to the golf course, and you could squeeze your way through and get onto the golf course. And the older kids did that quite a lot. I think at first it started out with people just like going out and like having a look around and then coming back in being a bit scared. But then they got braver and they started to watch people play golf. They'd hit the ball, it would land somewhere near the den, and they'd go out and take it, come back in and put it in this big bucket that we had, and they'd watch them looking for their golf balls. After that, they got even braver and started stealing the flags. They started stealing the flags from the holes. We had about 10 flags just sort of in different places in the den. Some of them were like stuck in the ground, some of them were in the trees. I was talking to my sister about this the other day and she said that apparently they tried to sell all the golf balls that they collected for like 50p. Oh man. My sister and I used to talk about running away, and the gist of our plan was to go and live in the den in the forest down the road from our house and live on blackberries. And when we were older and we needed jobs, we could go and work in the pub. Nobody would know. It's all fine. We could wash ourselves in the toilets. Not in the toilets, like in the sinks. In the toilets, in the pub. Yeah, foolproof, am I right? But I moved away from there when I was 9. I haven't seen it in like 7 years. That's a long time. Oh, I feel old now. Feels like just yesterday. Looking forward to the summer when I can just make stuff. Exams suck, I'm sad. Oi oi, I look a bit pale.